Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. How's it going?
Doing great. How's it going, man?
Fantastic. So tonight we have another riveting episode of Studio Cage Match. This thing it's so popular. We're going to do...
I can barely contain myself.
I don't know. Everyone gets upset because, I don't know, twin films, these are hard to do. So tonight we're going to do...
I'd like to only do these.
We're going to do one of these cage matches. We're also going to do What You Watch. And then we'll pick... Do we want to do one more of these, or do you want to wait till this one's done and we'll decide whether we're going to do one more of these at the end?
I think it's up to Chris, really.
As long as we pick a good movie.
Let the audience decide.
Yeah. I don't,
let those
I think
people
what
decide.
I'm going to do, since I got a couple comments about this show from someone in Baltimore named Kelly Gould.
I know her.
Yes. And I think
a rabid
Kelly
fan.
Gould would like Drew to have some choice in some of these. So I am going to let Drew look at, we're going to do this one more time. And I'm going to let Drew look at the wheel. I'm not going to spin the wheel, but we're going to let Drew look at the wheel and pick the films he wants to do next week.
So it's no longer the Democratic wheel.
It's going to be Drew's wheel. I've decided that.
We just watched that movie about perverting democracy for our own ends. I feel like I don't know if I can be party to that, but I appreciate that you want to serve me. I think that's very sweet.
Well, Drew, everyone gets a participation trophy, so you might as well just.
That's true. I actually got a medal this weekend, second place in my weight class, and
congratulations!
Was
only two in the competition.
I'm always number one in my weight class.
21 of us.
Wow, good for you.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Even with you being so sick as you've been.
Well, there were only two of us in my weight class, so.
Secretly, there's a couple films on there I hope he picks, but we'll let him decide that.
Well, I think what we're going to do, I can tell you right now, we're going to watch.
Nope.
We're going to watch Clute, and then we're going to watch Clute again, and then we're going to compare them. And I think I'd like to have John lead that discussion.
I think that's
what I
want. Let Kelly Gould from Baltimore know that we do read these comments and we take them seriously.
And is she your agent? That's what I want to know. Is she your agent?
She didn't think they were being read. No, she's not. She's not my agent. She's my manager, because managers get a higher percentage.
I just would like to say that I know it looks like a jail cell, but that is a cage that's in the open. Okay?
Oh, so you do know that? Okay.
I do know that. I know it's a cage, and
I can't wait when this friggin'
Chris,
thing is over.
This is your beautiful theme. What are the films? Now remember how to do this. Give me the two themes. The two movies. I drop in the open, and then we can talk about the film. So what are the films tonight?
It's Capote and Infamous, right?
It would have been. If we
that's
didn't
what
have
I watched, though.
Right there.
No, fine films.
Exactly. Tonight's two films that go head to head are both from 2006, from the fall. The Prestige from Christopher Nolan and The Illusionist from Neil Bergmen.
Studio Cage Match.
There can be only one.
Oh, I love the art. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you. That is a
good-looking cage right there.
That's a good cage.
It doesn't
we
look
beat
like
a dead horse
prison
here.
at
That's
all.
what we do.
Let's bust
I'm
one
sorry,
of them out
Kelly
of jail.
from Baltimore. I'm sorry, Kelly from Baltimore, but this is what we do. We beat a dead horse.
Right, exactly.
I don't think
We're
I
gonna get
can
a lot of
support
mileage
animal
out of that
cruelty, but okay.
Right.
All right, so like I said, tonight is the two films that we have to look at are basically about illusionists or magicians, stage magicians, both at the turn of the 20th century, or actually a little before, a couple years before the 20th century, or right around that time. Both actually came out within 2 months of one another. The Illusionist opened here in the United States on the 1st of September in 2006, and The Prestige came out toward the end of October, on the 20th of October, both in 2006. I actually saw both of these movies in the theater. The Illusionist stars Edward Norton, Jessica Biel, Paul Giamatti, and Rufus Sewell, and is set in Austria, and has to do basically with a youthful
Illusionist.
a youthful romance between a woman who is going to become a duchess and basically like a local boy. And as they grow older, he goes off and becomes a famous magician while she ends up engaged to the Crown Prince of Austria, right? On the other side of it, and The Prestige, we have two dueling magicians, essentially, two young magicians just starting out, and what they are doing is they are both trying to make a name for themselves in the world of stage magic in London in the late 1800s, late 1870s, and so on. And what happens in that situation is there's a terrible accident, and one of the characters, played by Hugh Jackman, his wife dies. She is an assistant. She's the beautiful young woman that often works as both an assistant and a distraction on stage. And she dies, and he blames the other young magician, played by Christian Bale. And that sets off a lifelong, what's the word I want to use here? Lifelong feud between the two of them, thank you, that culminates in a number of violent acts against one another. And as it continues to escalate. Both of these movies, I think this is one of the harder ones because both of them, I think, are essentially very good films. As far as the numbers are concerned, the budget for the Prestige, which was directed by Christopher Nolan, and this is the movie he did right before Batman Begins. Okay, so he had done most notably Memento, then he did Insomnia, and then he did this film. And then Batman.
He wasn't quite Christopher Nolan yet.
Yeah, he wasn't quite the legendary Christopher Nolan.
He got this film because the writer, whoever's going to produce it, saw his film, The Following.
The Following, which was, the first film, yeah.
Memento was still in post-production.
Yeah, that's what I read as well. Christopher Priest, who wrote the book, The Prestige, which I'd actually read when I heard I knew Nolan well enough, or I'd heard enough about him, that when I heard he was making The Prestige, I went out and got the book and read it. And if you think the movie is slightly confusing, which, because of its back and forth nature, the book is almost as confusing. It's got a very interesting narrative structure. I'll get into that a little later. But once again, I think it looks like a fantastic film, Ralph, as you always like to say. All the money's on the screen. It was only a $40 million picture. And even in 2006, that's a pretty modest sum.
Well, that's what I said last week. It was these were not big studio.
You were 100% right. I thought it was a much more expensive picture. Worldwide gross for The Prestige was just under 110 million. So it's probably a modest success, probably made a little bit of money, not a lot. Yeah. The Illusionist, however, interestingly enough, which is a movie I feel like people don't remember nearly as well as they remember The Prestige, partially because of the star power of Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale and Scarlett Johansson and Michael
Christopher
Caine.
Nolan, to be frank.
And Michael Caine.
Yes, and Christopher Nolan. Yeah, it's now, as he has become a world famous director, obviously The Prestige is remembered as part of his filmography. The Illusionist, however, was on an even more modest budget of about $16.5 million, and its worldwide gross was just under 88 million. So it was a very big financial success. It basically had a budget. It made 5 times its budget, which in anybody's world is a lot.
The
more
other one
profit.
did not. So
no,
it did not.
They say 3 times is the break even.
Yeah.
And the Nolan film
I've heard
close.
anywhere between 2 to 3. Yeah. So The Prestige may not have actually not broken even until it hit video or pay-per-view, etc. But The Illusionist was a straight up moneymaker in the theater. Both of them were based on other things. Like I mentioned before, The Prestige is based on a novel by Christopher Priest, which according to the book was the winner of the World Fantasy Award. Never really heard of that one, but I guess
I think
it's an
that's
award.
awarded by Penthouse Magazine. So.
Yeah. Trust me, if you're an author, every award you get.
I never thought it could happen to me.
I didn't think this would happen, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
I
other
was
one
driving a truck down 70.
No, it's always a shoe store. It's always
Yeah.
a shoe store. Come
a
on.
shoe store.
Yeah. I was buying shoes. And this, yeah.
So weird.
So the interesting thing about
That's kinky.
the film,
That's Al Bundy's forum.
This gone off the rails. Sorry, Chris.
it's okay. It's all right. I get it. The Illusionist is funny. It's one of those. It's a much smaller film, What I find really interesting about The Illusionist when I rewatched it this week was the fact that even though Ed Norton plays the main character, he plays the titular illusionist, and Jessica Biel is actually quite good in it. Rufus Sewell is fantastic because he's always got a level of, he's a great actor, and he always brings kind of a level of weirdness as the main
malevolent,
the Archduke.
Yeah.
The real main character in the story, the one that I identify with, and I think most people do, is Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, great performance.
As the police inspector, as the head police inspector for, I think they were in Vienna or something.
Yeah, they were in Vienna.
Yep.
So that's kind of the setup of that film. And like I said, the other one has some also great performances. It has a wonderful kind of supporting role at David Bowie as Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Which is just fantastic. I mean, he kind of comes in and steals that whole part of the show that he's in, that part of the film.
Nolan said if he didn't agree to do the film, he wouldn't have done the film.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
The Thin White Duke.
That he is. Yeah. And all of his other personalities, you can just add Nikola Tesla to it as well. But so obviously, we'll get into the which one's better or which one's not. Obviously, it's pretty obvious. I like both of these films a lot. I think they're both quality pictures. What did you guys think of them? Had you seen them before? Did you revisit them, or are you just going from an 18-year-old memory?
Other YouTube commenters, maybe.
That too.
Well, I saw them both in the theaters, like you did, and Debbie saw them too. And
oh yes, sorry, Debbie's not here.
Yeah, sorry, Debbie's not here. She's
tonight. I mean, just tonight.
Well.
Just
But she's still with us. But
thank goodness.
Good.
I had The Prestige on the DVD. I never got The Illusionist, so I've seen The Prestige numerous times. But I've downgraded my DVDs to just mostly Blu-rays and boxes, so I don't have it anymore. So I remembered liking The Prestige better, and obviously I had it. But I got to admit, going through it this time, I did watch The Illusionist, and I think it's the better movie.
Really?
I really liked the relationship Paul Giamatti and Edward Norton. I mean, they're antagonists, but we had recently reviewed that Indian movie and Nayatu, and Giamatti's, about corrupt cops, and Giamatti's essentially a corrupt cop,
True.
And
With a heart of gold.
with a heart of gold, and a part-time illusionist himself. And I just liked the moral struggle he went through and the decision he made at the end, and how he figured it all out. And I also liked Norton, giving him, Giamatti was intrigued by the orange tree, which is a real
trick
illusion. It's a real trick. And he ends up giving him the secret at the end of it.
Let's just say this before we go any further. We're going to spoil the films.
Oh, yeah.
18 years.
2006.
Come on.
Okay. But I want to make it clear. Okay. Go ahead.
And, The Prestige is a bigger and showier film. More people, fingers get shot off, and more people end up dead in it, so, it's a showier film. It is great fun seeing David Bowie in it as Tesla, and I think Michael Caine does great with his supporting role as well. But, overall, I don't know, maybe I wasn't involved with the love story at the heart of The Illusionist as much, but I think it really worked. And the love story at the heart of Prestige, I mean, we're giving it away, there's no Christian Bale is twin brothers.
Oh.
And you feel bad for the one's wife, because she doesn't know that, like, every other night it's her husband, and the other night it's the brother who treats her coldly and mean.
Well, she
And
says
we're back
when he
in
says he loves
Penthouse
her,
again.
He can tell you don't love me today.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's an odd dynamic. And then you have a completely ruthless, what's the other actor's name? I'm sorry.
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, who usually plays nicer guys,
Mm-hmm.
but he's very ruthless. And, this is not based on an actual real device or trick. And I'm sure I didn't research it, but in The Illusionist, where he's bringing the dead people back, I'm sure that's also based on some sort of real illusion as well. But I'm sure it wasn't as convincing done at that time.
Still a good Easter choice, though.
Yeah.
Good point.
So this time, I just really liked The Illusionist, and I'm going to go
I'm surprised
for the better picture this time.
I hadn't seen The Illusionist. I saw The Prestige. I think Christian Bale was brilliant in The Prestige. And I like Edward Norton a lot, but his accent didn't do it for me. But acting-wise, The Prestige, I think, is a better film. But The Illusionist is a love story. That's what it really is about. And The Prestige is about a lot of despicable people trying to up each other and doing some pretty horrible things to achieve their ultimate goal. And frankly, the science fiction ending kind of blew it for me as far as really liking The Prestige over The Illusionist. I actually really enjoyed The Illusionist. It had me. I mean, you could figure things out. It wasn't like it was a complete mystery what was going on. But Chris, you left out one thing in your little synopsis, that when they were younger, they kind of fell in love, and they were ripped apart by the royal family, and he left because of that, and then came back, and he didn't go to find her. He was doing magic in Vienna, and she ends up on stage, and he recognizes her. So I really like that. And one other thing I'll say about The Prestige, it's all about misdirection and people leading double lives, like the Chinese magician who for his whole life pretended to be frail, but the whole based on a true person was based on how strong he was. Well, one of the theories out there is that Bowie wasn't playing Nikola Tesla. He was playing an actor, and Andy Serkis was really Nikola Tesla, because all the explanations come from him, and he's out there in public where Nikola Tesla wasn't. So between the two, again, I think Christian Bale was just fantastic. He's great in everything he does. And it was a much flashier picture, but between the two, I actually really enjoyed The Illusionist much more. I had never seen it. I thought I saw it, but I had not seen it. And Paul Giamatti was great. That scene when he's at the train station, where now he's putting everything together, and the look on his face when he figures it out. And frankly, he's tested by the bad guy in the film, Rufus Sewell.
Prince.
Yeah,
the Crown
a great
Prince.
performance by Sewell.
Yeah, because he was set up. I mean, everything he said was true.
Yeah,
When he was another telling bad Giamatti, guy he who was was set saying- up. Another bad guy who was right the whole time. That's right. But the way Giamatti played it, and when the guy pulled the gun out, you didn't know what was going to happen. And I thought that, and he didn't compromise his integrity in that moment, because he knew it was right. So
Even though he was wrong, he knew it was right.
well, that's right. But it was so well played
Yeah.
that and that. But that scene when he figured it out was just great. So
Yeah, but even though it was a frame, the prince was Crown Prince was a despicable
if
person.
anyone deserved to be
He
framed, it
deserved
was
to
that
die
guy.
for trying to
Because he had
overthrow his
thrown
father.
people off balconies. And
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
when he Drew, I want to slapped hear her what
like
you have to
that-
say. Then I want to jump in because I got a lot to say. Oh, well,
I do. Drew, you're silent. Your mic's off.
are you? Is this a joke, Drew?
Is that better? Am I back?
No, it's very low.
I
Wiggle
think
those
I can
wires.
sum up what Drew was going to say.
All right.
It
I
was
found
no
this movie very
tenant.
satisfying.
Nope.
I found it satisfying. I was satisfied by the satisfaction of the film.
His cat keeps
Uh,
stepping on those wires.
I
think.
thought it could have used a little more magic. If they did a little more Fury Road, perhaps.
Well, I wanted to say first, John, you keep saying Nicholas Tesla.
Oh,
And
what
I
is it?
suddenly have a vision of an Elon Musk biopic starring Nicolas Cage. I'm so ready for that movie. So I'm going to write that with Sean when we get off the air, and I think it'll be absolutely fantastic. So I remember I saw both of these movies in the theater as well. I think I remember thinking The Illusionist was seen as more of a minor movie. I remember because Christopher Nolan was becoming this big thing, and I had seen Memento and thought this is an incredibly well made movie, which at which I am very bored because I don't feel like there are any human beings in it. And then I watched Insomnia and I felt the same thing. And then I watched Batman Begins and I really liked the car. And when Gary Oldman said, "I got to get me one of those," I felt that I wanted one also. The Prestige was the first Christopher Nolan movie after that came out that I really liked. And I dug the fact that he was making this Batman trilogy. And then in between, he was making these, especially Inception, like insanely ambitious movies. Like he does Batman Begins, then he does Prestige, then he does Dark Knight, then he does Inception, then he does Dark Knight Rises, then he does Interstellar. Like this is a guy moving to bigger and bigger scales.
So
and
Prestige was after Batman Begins?
Yeah, he started writing it before, but Batman Begins came out in 2005. And then he did the Prestige because it was taking so long to get the Prestige to go that he got the Warner Brothers deal to do Batman, and they were like, "Go do it." So he ended up doing that first. And it's funny, like Batman Begins feels like a much smaller movie compared to the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
but it feels so much bigger compared to the Prestige. But I think the Prestige and Interstellar are my favorite Christopher Nolan movies. It doesn't mean I don't like his other movies, but they are my most favorite because Tenet is the most fun, obviously, but it's not a good movie. I think the Prestige and Interstellar both have characters that feel more real because the emotions are more surface and more extreme. And so the fact that the Prestige is built on this rivalry, I found very compelling. And these two guys, at any cost, achieving something like that is a very compelling thing. And as I was thinking about this, I look back at the movies that I like over my life, the movies that I like, and I end up liking a lot of movies that are like that, but they're very different kinds of movies. Like King of Kong is about people who will do almost anything to become the Donkey Kong, world record holder, or Fitzcarraldo, where I want to build an opera house, so I'll drag a boat over a mountain. And this is about two guys who want to have the best illusion to the point where they'll destroy the women in their lives and the lives of the people around them, and also themselves, which is the sci-fi ending that John is talking about. Whereas to me, what I remember the most about liking The Illusionist, which is also, it's a gorgeous movie. It's got wonderful performances. It's got a wonderful cast. When you find out at the end that Paul Giamatti has really been the main character the whole time.
Yeah.
Like that it's all about him. I remember that being really satisfying. So I've seen The Prestige more often. If you make me pick, I would say I like The Prestige better. But of all the movies that we've talked about in pairs, it's by far the closest. I think they're both really excellent movies. I think they're both really worth revisiting. I think I'm a little jealous of John that I got to see one of them now, that you got to see one of them now. And that you also found it satisfying, because this is, again, we talked about this last time. There's these movies that they come out together and it's like, well, that one's worse, so it must be much worse. This is the least accurate version of that by far. And The Illusionist, I think, is seen in the shadow of The Prestige, because you can then name, like I just did, a bunch of other gigantic movies that the director did, and the Illusionist director, that may be his best film. And so it's not part of a larger arc of entertainment and popular culture and stuff like that. I think they're both really satisfying films. It's also interesting how The Illusionist is a very soft and beautiful movie, and The Prestige is a very harsh and beautiful movie, and both of them make very, I think, wise decisions visually in how they tell their stories. And as you guys have said, I could watch David Bowie clone hats and cats all day. It's just what a weird wonder of a way to include him in that story. So yeah, they're both excellent. They're both excellent films, and Prestige by literally barely a hair.
Wow. I'm you know what? I'm blown away. I have such the opposite reaction to these two films.
Really?
Both beautiful films, both well acted films. The Prestige is far and away a much, much better film.
In your opinion.
I just said that. For my opinion.
You don't have to say that, John. We know that.
And I listened to another, because I like to research by watching what other people do on these versus things. And this one guy was audio only, and he just couldn't talk about how much better The Illusionist is to the Prestige. And I couldn't disagree with him more. I just find the thing about the Illusionist, it's beautiful. The love story is okay. The tricks to me, you couldn't explain how they, in at least in the Prestige, they explain how they did them, the mechanics behind the tricks. Like the sword trick in The Illusionist, where he can't pull the sword off the floor. How is that? This is all supernatural stuff he's doing.
No,
not
how
in
do
The
you do
Illusionist.
it? Explain to me how the sword trick.
All the tricks that he did were real tricks. Now, I had the same complaint when you went to the bathroom. I had the same complaint. I said, look, the one thing about The Illusionist that bothered me was that they never explained, other than the orange thing, they never explained any of the tricks. And I would like to have seen how they did it. But I do know that they were based on real tricks, and he worked with
the sword trick is what is it? Is that a hypnotizing people so they can't
No,
lift
it's not.
it up?
It's not hypnosis.
Okay.
I
How does he
know.
slow a
It's
ball
an illusion.
dropping?
I don't know how they do
I
it.
don't
Right,
know.
the illusion of
Because
the
they never
ball. He
explain
drops
it.
a ball.
But he did it.
I know they say. I think they like. How does he slow a ball dropping between his hand?
Those the
Okay, so that's just the magic, and they both had the same guy. Ricky Jay was
Well,
technical
there's another guy
supervisor
too.
on both of them. Ricky Jay's
close
awesome.
up, close up magician. They call
Right.
him.
Yeah, he's also in.
That's the best kind.
Right.
The Spanish Prisoner. He
has a deep impact, Sean.
He's great. He's
Yeah,
great.
he's
All
all
right, so
Ricky Jay's amazing.
But
yeah.
the intricacy, and I know this is Christopher Nolan's thing, but the intricacy of what's going on in the Prestige, how it's all about twins and people pairing, and the birds are twins, and the people are twins, and everybody's a twin. The clones are twins.
The top hats are
Just so satisfying and just so well acted that I just can't even put these two in the same place.
Wow.
The Prestige is such a much better film than The Illusionist. And the goofy love story, and Paul Giamatti at the end on the train going, I figured it all out. And he's looking around and they're going, oh, I knew, because I said to Maria, I'm watching, I go, okay, she's not dead. They're working out something. I know they found her in the water, but I know that guy that's the doctor is part of the thing. I knew everything. The Prestige, I was still right to the very end trying to figure out. Now, the whole science fiction thing with
You
Tesla,
bought the cloning.
I love that part. I love the cloning. The thing I liked about it is the dropping them down in the drowning. Like you figure when you start thinking about it, go, oh, he's an original. The original guy goes down, so the new Hugh Jackman is a clone. So the next guy's a clone, and it's this. And
That's horrifying.
They hire blind people to work down there. I just found all of it, and the fact that it starts off because Christian Bale ties that woman's hands with a certain knot, and she drowns. Hugh Jackman's wife, which starts the whole rivalry off. And at the funeral, when he's asking him which knot you tied, well, now it's the twin he's talking to who didn't remember the knot. I just love just how those things all work. And then he does that whole thing at the end where he flash forwards and flash backwards and shows you all the things going on, including cutting the fingers off because Hugh Jackman shot his fingers off. You can't even put these two in the same they're completely different films.
That's true, but
one's a goofy notebook love story,
goofy,
and the other, goofy.
What?
Wow,
Goofy.
I
could not
I
stand. I
think it was
could
The
not.
Notebook.
Wow.
Jessica Biel is. I couldn't buy that whole thing, and Sewell, Russ, the
Rufus
Snidely Whiplash, Rufus. Well, I mean, he was so bad. You couldn't. Are you guys telling me you couldn't predict everything that was going to happen in that film? The Illusionist. Did you think she was actually dead in The Illusionist?
I didn't.
No,
But the fun of the film was figuring out how they did it and what was going to happen.
Well,
How were they
because it
gonna
all
get
got
back?
explained at the end when Paul Giamatti's at the train station going, "Oh, this is how it
You mean
happened."
like Christian Bale explained it to Hugh Jackman in that last scene, just like that.
Christian Bale and
Explain the
the
whole thing
director
through
of that film,
flashbacks.
Christopher Nolan, did all kinds of cool shit to
I know, but they had the same. It was
the whole
explained
thing,
just like that.
with the birds and Michael
Yeah.
Caine and Michael Caine
Michael
saying
Caine-
drowning is beautiful, and
The
then
whole
no,
theme
drowning's
is the
not
3
beautiful.
steps of
And
magic.
oh no,
That was
you
the
guys.
whole
I
theme of
think,
the movie.
Chris, I didn't know which one you picked on this one. I haven't.
Wait a second. I will say the Prestige had a better trailer.
It did have
Okay, there you go.
Maybe.
Should I show the trailers? You want to see the trailers, and then we'll pick them.
I don't
That
think
would
I
be
thought we don't do that
demonetized.
anymore.
I
You
do
want
anything I
copyright
want to
hit?
do.
I will say that I prefer The Prestige to The Illusionist. Just rewatching The Prestige, just the way it's edited, it's so well done. You know, it is so very intricate, very much like a magic trick, right? It's like an illusion. It is in and of itself very intricate, while The Illusionist is very linear. You know, it is. But I do think that The Illusionist is a terrific film, and it's definitely worth seeing. But I do prefer The Prestige. Once again, like you, Sean, I own The Prestige on DVD, but not The Illusionist. And this was the first time I'd seen The Illusionist. I think I'd seen it one other time on home video at some point after it was released. But, you know, I mean, I enjoyed it. But the funny thing is, one of the things that I loved about The Illusionist, and the thing I forgot about until I watched it again, is when he walks through the sword.
Oh.
You know,
that was great.
Like, that
explain to me. Okay, this is what I mean about the magic in The Illusionist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end, they're both soul. You know, the smoke is the soul, or whatever's going on, and people walk through. At the end, they try to slice not Christian Bale, Edward Norton, and he's now where? How is he doing that? I want that.
Remember, in one scene they were packing up boxes, and he kept talking about the lenses. So it's a projection, and with smoke. That's the way. But they never explain it. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
but if you're buying the cloning, then I can buy.
I 100% buying the cloning because.
Well, I mean, Ralph, the cloning in that era. I mean.
It's Tesla. He lit the whole town up.
So I'll buy the other thing. You know, it's funny.
Go ahead,
they
Sean.
both had
I got one more thing I want to point out
about
about
Return
this
of the
movie.
Century, but there were two separate movies. And to say one is goofy, I don't know.
I think to me,
goofy.
To me, no, not okay. I didn't say I didn't like The Illusionist. I just think if you're going to put these two on you can't. These are not even close on the same level.
Well, let's just go to something where The Prestige isn't even close to.
The point is, they're magic
Illusionist.
movies that came out in 2006. That's the point of the wheel.
Right.
Go ahead, Sean. What were you going to say?
Well, you got to forget something I had forgotten until I watched it again. The Philip Glass score on The Illusionist.
Oh, yes.
You know what?
Wonderful.
That was a very accessible score for Philip Glass.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Thin Blue Line? You ever see the Thin Blue Line?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the same score that's in this one.
No, this is more accessible. This is
Oh my God.
Thin Blue Line.
No, I disagree.
This is my favorite.
I love Philip Glass. Listen, great.
Well, he was really great in Candyman too. That was a great score.
I know he did that one. So who's the director of the film? Neil Berger, right?
Neil Berger, whose career is less prestigious, he went on to do things like Divergent, which was not good, but he also did Limitless, which was surprisingly good with Bradley Cooper. So he's done some other interesting stuff.
He's done two things, is what you're saying. He's done some.
So
I haven't seen Voyagers, but the reputation is not positive.
Yeah.
So I did want to make one quick comment. It's funny about the book, the novel itself. The novel is actually possibly more confusing in some ways than the film, The Prestige. It is essentially two separate books within a book. One of them is the notebook of Angier, and the other is a memoir that was written by Borden. Right. And it's actually told from the perspective of like their great grandchildren from 100 years later that are going to try to solve this mystery. It gets very weird.
That's interesting.
But the interesting thing that the book is a little bit more positive in the sense that while in the film, the wife is never let in, the mistress and the wife are never let in on the secret that they're twins. In the book, they all live happily together in one giant house. So the wife knows the secret and the mistress knows the secret, and to the public they're assistant and wife to the one man, possibly mistress.
This is what I love about the idea that they show the Anglo guy playing the Chinese. That's a real person, right?
Yes, that was a real guy
who when he's out in public he's always doing that frail Chinese guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the last English word he said is when he got, because that whole thing about the bullet trick.
Yep.
The only thing he ever said in English was, "Oh my God, I think I just got shot" or something.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the one time.
And Christian Bale's going. The dichotomy of these two guys is Christian Bale is all into the magic and how important that is, and Hugh Jackman's all into the performance. And it's all about the adulation he wants from his audience, right?
Like me.
Like you. And just the way that Nolan stitches that through the whole film, it's just the consistency of this whole film. It's so rewarding when you get to that end. And I don't care about the science fiction of the clones. I know in the book, it's not the same thing. They're like empty husks or something. It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's the prestige materials, as they call
right.
it. And
like I know that the science fiction part, but when you add the Tesla thing in and all the, I just think these are like they're not even close to being the same.
Look, it's not it's not shocking that the Westworld show on HBO is from the same minds. I mean, that whole show is about artifice and life and choice and illusions and things like that. And the seeds of that, I think, are in this version of the Prestige, and some of those choices that I haven't read the book, so that you're telling me about the cost of the trick that Nolan has them perform, and the meaning of what these people are, being alive, being doubles, being clones, all these things. I see that even more clearly.
The commitment involved in doing that. Plus, they're killing, like they're showing they're killing birds. Some of these tricks in those days were dangerous, right? And they're showing that. They're showing Michael Caine or somebody. Literally, the whole trick is you kill a bird and bring another bird in, twin birds.
Right.
Where's the brother?
Well, that's the thing. That's the best part about both of the movies, especially the Prestige, is it's all in front of you the whole time. That's like, Penn and Teller's whole thing is they do a trick in front of you, and then they explain to you how they did the trick, and you go, how did I not see that?
No,
the guy was right there with a goose on the side of the stage.
I don't really think the Illusionist does that. I think there are things like the sword trick and the slowing of the ball, between his hands. They're not
that's true. That's true.
They're not
They don't show you how to
they're
do
not
it
letting us
explicitly.
in on
That's
those
true.
things. You learn it when Christian Bale does that. He bounces the ball and the other guy comes out. That sets up the twin thing. Why? How can you do that? I just think that the Prestige nailed all those things way more than the other. Now, the other one's a love story. Okay. If you're into that, if that's what you want, then you have the love story and it's beautiful. And, and if you're saying that the character of the policeman is the main character in this film, then yeah, I guess so, because he's the last one we see on screen going, I figured it out. I don't know. I just
everything is from
running to their house.
Yeah, everything is from his perspective.
He meets her at the cottage and all that.
Everything
but
is actually teaching him how to live. That's the
I
kind
knew
of the
she
whole
wasn't
message
dead.
of the movie.
I knew from the minute they found her in the river that she was not, that she was going to come.
In your opinion,
did you see this back in the day?
In my opinion. What's that?
Did you see this back in the day?
No, I saw this just recently in my car.
On your phone.
Oh, that was the first time that you had watched it?
Yeah. So
okay.
he really got the full effect of the visuals.
You know what? I could see that it was bathed in brown and bathed in sepia and a little slightly defocused. I could see that. I saw what the director was doing. It's a beautiful film. I know.
Do you think the glare off of the windshield affected the way
the tunnel? When I was in tunnels, I could see a lot.
Of the
in the
lights,
tunnels, I could see a lot.
That makes sense.
All right. I just want to get it like
Hassan.
Like Alfred Borden, Robert Anger, right? Those are the two lead characters in Angier. Abra Cadabra, ABRA, right? I just love that. I love that they that kind of detail is just great. So I am 100%. This one got won by the Prestige. Not even close to the other one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I got a lot, and I heard a guy. Like I said, I listened to this guy. This guy couldn't.
I heard that he railed on the Prestige.
He railed on the Prestige.
Yeah,
railed.
So you guys both listened to an audio only show.
I did. I wanted to watch one of these shows where they, Ralph always talks about them. My research. I watched the show where they compare them, and it was an audio one. And I said, all right, I'll listen to this.
Because, hey, I'm just a Goomba. I don't know.
The Prestige.
Yeah. Shredded it. He shredded it. That Christopher Nolan's always trying to make me look stupid. I don't get it. The other one's a love story.
Well, that's the challenge with Christopher Nolan. Like Tenet is a gigantic mess, but when you watch it, you can't say this guy doesn't know how to make movies.
No, come on,
at the world class level with world class people. I mean, the craft that he has. So you can see that somebody knows how to make a movie. But like the biggest problem with Tenet is the problem with any movie that's almost good is that the story isn't good or the story isn't told clearly. But I mean, everything else about it from every department, is all firing on all cylinders and everything. It's
and when you look at these two films,
great story, well told. And what else do you want from a movie?
Both these films have basically the same rating on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Like it's about 70-75%.
Well,
Both these films, Roger Ebert I think he gave The Illusionist a 3.5 out of 4 or 5, and he gave The Prestige like 3 out of 4 or 5. I forget how
it's all out of 4, but
so he was.
You like The Illusionist better?
He's slightly better.
Yeah, because he's a smart guy.
They're very close.
There's a whole web page. I mean, a whole podcast of people called Twin Movies.
That's only one of the podcasts.
We just created this out of our own course.
I thought we made this up.
No.
Well, they don't have a wheel, Sean.
They don't have a wheel. Which we're not going to
Executive Decision, Air Force One.
But
those are both excellent movies.
All right, but okay, so
Turner and Hooch and K9.
There's a ton of these. John is upset because he didn't pick any of these. But all right, so what's the where are we at? So I'm 100% Prestige, no question.
Yeah.
The other one I don't even care about.
I mean, I like the Prestige more, and no question about it. I think it's got some great stuff. But unlike Ralph, I still think that The Illusionist is a fine film, and if you haven't seen it, you should take some time.
I didn't say it's not but okay, we're comparing two films.
Yes,
compare them directly.
Well,
which one is better?
I feel like the Prestige.
A lot of passion there. I'm not sure what it's from, but I root for you.
Which one is better?
Binary. The Prestige is a better film.
Okay, thank you. That's the whole point of this. I get they're both good films. In this particular case, they're actually both good films. Like you guys said earlier, the other ones we've done aren't both good films.
Yeah,
these two are both good films with good actors, semi-good director.
Well, I think if we're voting, I think they're both good films. I don't know if anybody said that, but this may surprise you. I prefer The Prestige. I think The Prestige is, without taking away from the fact that they're both good films, I think The Prestige is a little better than Greenland, and you guys know how much I like
Why do you
Greenland.
keep? What is Greenland the thing now? I don't get it.
It
used to be Mad Max Fury Road. Now it's Greenland.
It's a good movie that reminded me of much better movies like Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Right.
Except
well, we're back. We're
better.
on these Magic. Is there another? How about the movie Magic with Anthony Hopkins back in the day? We had the dummy. Okay, Sean, where are you at with these two?
I'm with The Illusionist on this.
Wow. I can't
Mainly to make John feel less lonely.
Listen, I have no qualms about it. I think they were both good films. The Prestige just had too many despicable characters for me. I prefer The Illusionist.
Okay, there you go. Fascinating. It's fascinating. So it's like this is no, it's not even. It's
if Debbie was here, she would have picked The Illusionist. It would have been tied.
Probably because she doesn't like despicable characters except her husband. She likes him.
Whoa!
I think she likes you. I'm just saying.
Oh, there's a
all right.
shot across
Sometimes.
All right, so this is the rule on this one. So we're going to show the wheel. I'm just going to show the wheel.
Why bother?
And Drew is going to pick off this wheel the next film, and then that's the last one we do. That's my promise of this unless if we get over 200 views on this one, we'll do another one. But
good. So we won't be doing another one.
I think we won't.
That's gonna happen.
That's a pretty safe bet right there.
All right, so there we go. We have 6 on there. We got The Cave and The Descent. We got Olympus Has Fallen, White House Down, Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, Dante's Peak, Volcano, Phone Booth, Liberty Stands Still. That's the outlier. So, Drew, your choice.
My choice is to spin the wheel.
Oh, good choice.
It's the only fair choice. I want John to be happy.
Well, I haven't seen
Sorry,
the
John. All right, so my choice is Capote and Infamous.
Drew, I'll give you one. Do you want to spin again, or are we good with this one?
Sure, spin again.
All right, there we go.
Hey, The Descent's a great movie. I mean,
All right, let me.
We already talked about that.
Okay, if The Descent pops up again, we'll spin again. But here we go. Second spin for Drew. Oh,
That's the one I haven't seen. So there.
I haven't seen Liberty Stand Still.
Yeah,
Oh,
All right,
nice.
so it's Liberty Stand Still. All right,
Who's
that's
in
good.
Liberty Stand Still? I've never
What's her
heard of
name
it.
from Jade? And from
Linda
Men in Black.
Fiorentino.
Florentino?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
All
to think of
movies
her
I've seen.
as from The Last Seduction because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
That's a good one
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, she was really good in that.
She was really cute in Men in Black, though. I thought she was adorable.
Oh,
And
yeah, the doctor.
and then they
Jim
wrote
Warner.
the one she
Yeah,
did with
yeah.
Kevin Smith.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Debbie did with us. All right,
yeah.
so let's do a round of what'd you watch? We went long tonight, so keep it short, everybody.
Sure.
You promise?
No.
All right, Sean, you're up.
Okay, I didn't watch much because of the holidays and grandkids and all, but I was watching Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Oh.
You know, a film I'm
the
often
grandkids?
back and forth on. No.
Oh.
And it's kind of hard to watch with all Tippi Hedren's thing, but I saw an interview with her, and she seems to not mind watching it, so I watched it too. It's a rare film. It's slow getting started, but the set pieces are all very good, and it's a rare film where I'm like, I kind of wish they would pull the elements and redo some of the green screen,
Yeah,
you know, to make it a little cleaner.
yeah.
You know,
But it still works, right? I mean, it doesn't
it
matter.
works, yeah, but I'm like, this works, but man, if they did this today, it could be birdemic.
Yeah.
No, actually, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, but the
You know-
scenes when they're coming down the chimney and all that stuff, I mean, you know, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're using the real birds, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
the brain.
It's
when they're
great when they're
doing my
throwing
brain.
real birds at Tippi
And they're
Hedren
at the
because
school and they're
Hitchcock's
all
pissed.
over it.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw that film, and I still remember all the scenes. The
Yeah.
gas station scene, right? Where
Yeah.
maybe because Mel Brooks spoofed it so well in his films. But
High anxiety.
But
That's
that-
a great scene.
That's cool where they're singing
Yeah.
and the crows
Suzanne
end up on the...
Plachette.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the problem. If you really go back and not remake the movie, but you redo parts of it, then you'll
Then
end
you're
up
George
where.
Lucas.
Right, I was gonna say you're gonna end up where Greedo shoots a bird first or something. Like it's
Yeah.
like no one's gonna like it, no one's gonna be happy with it. And guess what?
leave
If
it
you
the way
did
it
something
is.
like that to fix an effect, and in another 20 years, people go, "Well, now that looks like crap."
Right.
So leave
Yeah,
it alone.
no, I know.
As Ralph
It's
said, it's
only
very
kids.
memorable. It's
I'm
very
with you.
memorable.
It's great. It's great stuff, but
in there. As a kid,
there's
when you
only a
watch that
few
film,
shots that bother
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
All right, The Birds. Chris, what do you watch?
I actually went to the movies and saw Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that's what I was going to talk about.
Oh,
Thieves.
okay, you two together. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick. I enjoyed the film. It was basically Guardians of the Galaxy
Exactly.
in a fantasy setting. Honestly, my one criticism, I took my son and we went with a couple of his friends and their dad. The kids all loved it, obviously. If I had any criticism, this sounds weird. I think most of the jokes landed. I thought they were all funny, but I actually thought they would have been served by cutting out maybe a third of them because it was pretty constant jokey, and actually upping the drama a little bit. I felt like it was a little light in the drama elements, but there were some really just great funny bits in there. I thought that the action was pretty good. Hugh Grant was really good. It was fun. I bought all the characters and all of that stuff. And, for a guy like me who loved Saturday morning cartoons, there's a wonderful Easter egg, not really Easter egg, but cameo. There was a Dungeons and Dragons cartoon back in the 80s. And in the show, it's basically about 6 kids that from our world that go to the world of Dungeons and Dragons. And literally like half the shows are about them trying to get home and never making it home. And in the show, in the cartoon, they never make it home. The show gets canceled. They never make it home. So they actually show up in this movie. They show
Wow.
older versions of themselves.
Ah,
With
So
the
it's
costume.
Wow, that's cool.
Basically,
funny.
they're like, holy crap, these poor kids have lived in this kind of nightmarish
With
world.
the costumes from the cartoon.
Exactly. And the
that's great.
magic weapons. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, they never made it home. So they've been
Like
there
Dark
for like
Jumanji.
30 years,
Yeah.
35 years or whatever.
that's
Anyway,
funny.
a fun film. Yeah, too bad Mario stomped everything.
Do you believe the numbers that movie did?
that
Can't
was
get over that.
bananas. We literally when we went to the theater, there was like grown adult men dressed as Mario.
I saw the same thing.
And we're not talking about it like some big theater. This was at the AMC 14 in Columbia, Maryland. This was not at like some big deal.
So many man
anyway.
boys in the world right now.
But long story
So,
short,
John, did you see that? You saw that too?
Yeah, I did.
oh nice.
And?
I liked it. I mean, it was I was a little worried about it because I read some stuff before it, and you shouldn't read that stuff, but I did. But it was good. And Chris Pine is really likable. He was a great lead. He wasn't one of these I'm going to beat everybody up. He wasn't like that, but he was still very funny, and there were some really heartfelt scenes in it, but there were really no stakes, to Chris's point. You know what I mean? But it was very Guardians of the Galaxy. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll like this. So I won't talk about that. The last thing I'll talk about, and you guys know how I feel about the way Marvel and Star Wars have gone. And my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I saw another trailer for the new Indiana Jones. And I'm very worried about that film and what they're going to do to the character. Now, they're doing major reshoots because the script got leaked. And one of the things that they leaked was it's about time travel. And at one point, Indiana Jones sacrifices himself and is erased from time. And then they go back and show the scenes with his goddaughter doing the scenes that he did in his previous movies. That was what was out there. And they everyone went crazy. So they redid the ending. I don't know what it means, but I'll tell you what, the fourth movie was horrible. And I think the fact that they're throwing time travel in this, and he's 80 years old. I love that character. Love that character.
Just hold on to that film. Why do you care at this point?
Because I do. Because that character, that movie, and that character meant a lot to me in my life.
Ignore the film, then. Don't go.
No, I have to go see. I saw that stupid alien movie.
If you go and it's horrible, is it?
Then I'll have something to talk about on the podcast.
I know, but is it going to ruin your feeling about the first movie?
It'll just be what's it called? The Dial of Destiny. So they should go back in time and erase the last two movies. That's what they should do.
The Dial of Destiny, you mean our democratic roulette that dictates destiny?
Listen, the 1 and 3 are brilliant movies. 2 is a good movie, but 1 and 3 are just. I mean, it's one of the best trilogies. I put it up with the Lord of the Rings.
But I mean,
it's a great. I just
it's so funny. Like when everyone hated the female Ghostbusters, it ruined the franchise. I'm like, no, Ghostbusters 2 ruined the franchise.
Ghostbusters 2 is terrible.
I was about to say Ghostbusters.
All right, so you're waiting for it, but you're going to go see it when it comes out.
I am, because my hope is they don't do that. Oh. That's what my hope is. Because believe me, there's been a lot of
Spielberg direct this one? Who's directing
Spielberg
it?
and Lucas
Mangold.
got nothing to James Mangold.
Oh, James Mangold.
Yeah, but the fact that they've got this goddaughter who they want to take over for him. And I'm just sick of
he's like the new Shia LaBeouf.
No, it's not even being woke. It's pushing out iconic characters. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf. He's not even in this one. I just hate the fact that they take these heroes that we've loved our whole lives, and like in Star Wars, they did it with Luke Skywalker. It was just awful what they did to that character, and I don't want to see that with this.
Well, there's going to be another Rey Skywalker movie, John.
I know.
It'll fix everything.
You'll
be happy.
Because that's what the Star Wars fans were clamoring for. More Rey Palpatine.
Okay, Drew, what do you got?
Well, is not strictly an entertainment thing, but there was a lot of political turmoil for our viewers from India in the state of Tennessee this week, with a couple of legislators being ejected from their seats in the legislature. And one of these young men gave a speech. If you just look up the In the Well speech, where he explains what happened to him and why he thinks he's being removed, is one of the all-time great political civil rights speeches ever. And it actually happened now. It's not in a textbook, that sort of thing. So look up In the Well speech. It's really one of those, like, probably kids would recite it in school type of speeches.
Unless you're in Florida, it won't be in the book. But.
Well, no, because they don't have books there. They're afraid of books. So I watched two things this week, one of which I admit I know nothing about. I don't know anything about the cartoon version of Ahsoka, the character from Star Wars. I've seen Ahsoka show up in The Mandalorian, played by Rosario Dawson, so I've already got a soft spot for her. I think she's wonderful. I watched the teaser trailer, I guess, that just got released for Ahsoka, and I noticed two things about it. First of all, it just looks really cool. And also, they have Admiral Thrawn finally appearing on, Grand Admiral Thrawn finally appearing on screen, and they call him the heir to the Empire, which is a reference to the Timothy Zahn novels that were the original 3 stories that were the sequels to the Star Wars trilogy many, many years ago. Timothy Zahn's a wonderful writer, wonderful sci-fi writer. And if they're going to take some version of those stories, which we can't do the same thing because it was about Luke and Han and Leia and all that stuff. But if they're going to take some of that stuff and put it in the series, that would be really neat, because Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the all-time great Star Wars villains and characters, and just a kind of like, it's a neat thing to see that they're going to put it on screen. And I'm actually more interested in it that it's a series than as a movie, because there's a lot of good things they could do with that. So I was kind of wondering if Thrawn would show up with Gideon in The Mandalorian, but apparently he'll be in this other series, and they're all going to be connected together. Anyway.
And the actor who does who did the voice in the cartoon, what the hell's his name? He's a famous actor. He's going to play the live action Thrawn also.
Oh, is he? Is he going to be blue?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they got rid of all the books.
No.
Well, this is one of the things that they said everything is legend,
yeah.
But then they keep bringing stuff back. So they've brought Thrawn back. So Thrawn is now canon in Star Wars.
Yeah.
The books aren't canon, but I think that that's a nifty thing I'm looking forward to. I also started watching Rob Lowe's new series on Netflix. It's called Unstable. It stars him and his son. And
his real son?
His real son.
Oh.
And he plays a gajillionaire tech guy who was already eccentric, but then his wife died, and he's acting so erratically that his company might actually be in trouble. And his son is estranged from him because his son would rather play flute and teach flute lessons than run a tech company. So the people who run the company say, "Come on, please help your dad. You got to really get him back down to earth." It's so funny and so silly and so well done. I have watched 2 or 3 episodes. I am thoroughly enjoying it. And I've also been with Kelly listening to Rob Lowe's books. As I've said before, I love all these people writing their biographies and then reading them to you, and it's another great one. So if you want to catch a good comedy, Unstable, it's on Netflix. They're like 20 some minutes an episode. It's very funny, and you can binge it if you want, but you could watch once a week like a normal old-fashioned
Drew, did
TV
you ever
show
watch his show when he was the TV lawyer?
The Grinder is one of the greatest TV comedies I've
Fred
ever
Savage.
seen.
That was a great
show.
Seen.
That show, yeah. I was so upset when that got canceled because
he was so funny in that show.
That was I'm sure everybody remembers because that's one of the episodes that people have watched so many times. But when we talked about RRR, I actually referenced The Grinder because one of the jokes in The Grinder is somebody will say something, like, well, this didn't happen, and then Rob Lowe would look at the camera and go, but what if it did? And I felt like that's what they did when they were writing RRR. Like,
I can't believe that guy's still around.
Can't happen, but what if it did?
That guy's still around. It's amazing.
The Grinder, go back and watch The Grinder, and you'll love that as much as
him and Lou Diamond Phillips. Just amazing.
And Lou Diamond was on our show. Maybe we can get Rob Lowe.
Yeah, I don't know what episode that was. All right, so I'm going to talk about one thing
61.
First. I'm going to bring up a death. Michael Lerner passed away this week.
Oh, yes.
Barton Fink, unbelievable. He's great everywhere.
You say Barton Fink,
Escape.
I say 8 Men Out, playing Arnold Rothstein in 8 Men Out. And this guy's been in television, films, plays, whatever. This guy's been around as long as I've been alive. He's been here. Godzilla. He passed away this week, and I just want to say rest in peace.
He's a wonderful actor, yeah.
Right.
And I want to bring up someone we missed, director and writer, a couple weeks ago in March, Burt I. Gordon, Mr. Big. They called him Mr. Big because it's Burt I. Gordon, but also he specialized in making films a bit like War of the Colossal Beast, King Dinosaur, Empire of the Ants in the 70s.
Empire of the Ants.
He made, that one where the giant grasshoppers are crawling up postcards of Chicago and everything. And he's a legendary character and made a lot of bad movies. What I didn't realize till after he died and looked at IMDb, he made a lot of failed, nude, breast films in the late 70s, early 80s too.
You have those on 60 millimeter at your house?
No, sadly I don't.
Maybe we get them on the wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
Put those on the wheel.
Let's go Burt I. Gordon next.
That's it.
We were talking
Mr.
about
Big.
really looking at the work of a auteur. And this may be one to go.
You guys come up with a theme. Chris and I came up with a theme at a happy hour or at a thing. You guys want to come up with a theme? We'll bring it on. We'll try it for a few episodes.
I think remakes.
All right. I'll let you guys decide after we do our next
What
week.
was
All
that?
right, so,
What was that genre that Sean just said? Nude breast movies.
okay, so I want to talk about what I watched this week. You guys watch Succession?
I've
Well, I'm
watched
not
the
caught
first
up.
season.
I'm
Okay.
not caught up this season yet.
Well,
but-
season 4, episode 3 of Succession is going to go down as one of the greatest episodes in television history.
Like the
Wow.
Red Wedding.
It's going to go down. I'm telling you, it's going to be the top 10 of greatest episodes ever produced on television. I'm not even going to tell you what happens because you got to watch the whole
yeah,
series.
please don't.
But it is amazing and it's groundbreaking and it's ballsy, and I just can't wait to watch the rest of the season. This is the final season. So we're on episode 3. I guess they probably have 9 or 10. I just can't even.
Is it like the orgy scene in The Boys?
I'm just telling you, it is. No, that was cheesy.
The hero-gasm?
Yeah, the hero-gasm. I'm just going to say that. So if you ever get a chance, watch the series. It's amazing. You can binge it because it's, all the seasons are out except for this one. And catch up.
Before Discovery removes it, you mean?
Yeah, hopefully they don't because
Puts it on.
wow.
Tubi.
I'm just going to say wow. All right,
They
so
left Velma up.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
true.
So all right, you guys have a
Scooby-Doo
good week.
without
What are we watching
Scooby-Doo.
next week? It's Phone Booth starring
Liberty Stand Still.
Liberty
and Liberty Stand Still.
Colin
Who's
Farrell.
Phone Booth is
Colin
the
Farrell stars in
Colin
Phone
Farrell
Booth.
one. Okay.
And
A
who's the
terrific
Linda
movie.
Fiorentino in Liberty Stand Still?
Isn't Kiefer Sutherland on the phone? Isn't that his voice?
I think Kiefer Sutherland is
Yeah.
the phone and the voice in Phone Booth. Yes.
Yep.
And this will be the last week of Twin Films.
Oh.
And if you guys want to get together and figure out what the next theme is, very democratic here.
Well, if
Partially.
you really want to try to get an audience, I think we should consider maybe instead of doing an Indian movie episode and then a different kind of whatever theme we come up with, we could do an Indian movie episode and then another Indian movie episode, and then we would guarantee audiences for both episodes that we record.
Okay, this is the problem with that scenario is we'd be watching Indian films all the time. And I think some of us want to watch other films. This is what I've been
don't
told.
disagree. I like
I'm
other
ready to
films,
dump
too.
this channel right now. If you guys only want to do Indian films, just say the word.
We want to say
Nah,
that
we
on
gotta
camera
keep
to
doing
our
this.
There you
loyal-
go. See?
our
There you
loyal
The
go.
word.
120 that watch
The
the
word.
show.
The word.
The word.
What? What'd you say, John?
I said, you want to say that on camera? So our loyal 120 viewers.
I think we may drop 4
That's
of
not
those
right,
off that
man.
one. So, but the votes to keep going. Is that what you're saying, Sean?
Yes.
Drew?
Let's keep going.
We'll have
To
to
me, this is like
we'll come up with
Dante's
a theme.
Peak. I've got to
figure it out.
climb it.
I'm willing. If you guys want to come up with a theme, you guys come up with a theme for the next set. Or we just go straight like we did before. Pick a film that you want to bring for a few, and then we can pick up another theme. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you guys. Okay,
Sean,
I'm
you
out
can
of this
bring
one.
Dante's Peak if you want.
I'm out of this vote. You guys decide. Okay. All right. Have a good week. Wow, it's very exciting. John, do we still want people to subscribe? Hit the like button.
It doesn't matter. They don't listen. So
Well,
I
apparently they might not even get the notifications.
I'd say hit
but
the
I'm rooting for
subscribe.
them.
Right.
subscribe, hit the
AI is all over
notification
the
button. Just tap the like
Smash
button.
the like
Hey,
button.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck. All right.
But it is a cage. Just want you to know that it is a cage.
It's not a jail. Kelly from Baltimore.
Kelly,
It's a cage.
she's really into Drew. I don't know about her.
And
but
she
she's
really
into
likes Drew.
I
That's
have
crazy.
very loyal fans. I'm not going to
really do.
apologize
Really do.
for my following.
All right. All right, buddy. Have a
You're
good
not
week.
a grumpy bear.
No.
No. There's only one.
Not on
round.
the air.
No, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. All right,
I'm
guys.
like a
Have a good
gummy
week.
bear.
All right. We're done.